G'day everyone and welcome to the Aussie Cousins Wrestling Show. I am Chris Apples and this is Mikey Spence. And today we are going to go through 10 possible Wrestlemania booking disasters that could actually happen this year. So as we speak, The Rock is planning to go onto SmackDown tonight. This looks like it's going to be an announcement for New Orleans to host the WrestleMania 42. But it also looks like he has some other things in mind judging by his tweets. But we're not going to dive into what The Rock is going to do because that is pretty much unpredictable. At times he does what he wants. These are 10 other things that we think could possibly happen that we really don't want to see. So first up, we're going to do Bianca Belair loses her winning streak at WrestleMania for absolutely nothing. So Bianca Belair has won 5 out of 5 matches at WrestleMania. The one last year, of course, was that 3-woman tag when they had the big 3 facing off with Damage Control. Still a pretty good match. It showed their strength that these 3 women had, and of course, they got the job done. But could you imagine if Bianca Belair goes out there at WrestleMania and loses for absolutely nothing? You are putting the best streak at the moment for WrestleMania out on ice for no reason. That would be a disaster for me. To me, there are some people who see Bianca Belair and they're like, oh, this is Bianca Hogan, she gets put over and everything. Have you seen her wrestle?
Yeah, she's brilliant.
Have you seen her physique? Have you seen how athletic she is in the ring? She is incredible. She should be booked like an absolute monster. She is a wonderful human being, a fantastic wrestler, great charisma. Absolutely, she should be the one who's winning most of the matches.
And now we have Street Profits are not featured in a tag team title match. After what happened at Royal Rumble, if they're not featured, something's gone wrong, and I literally may just turn off because that has to happen no matter what. After they came at Royal Rumble and annihilated everybody and looked quite scary and evil, they have to be in this match. And if it's a fatal 4-way, it's triple threat, anything, it just has to work.
Exactly. We need the Street Profits at WrestleMania going for a title, and we need them to hold the belts at the end. We're not going to call that part a disaster, but if they are not fighting for a title at WrestleMania, it is going to be a disaster. Okay, and next up we have a whole bunch of meaningless triple threat matches. Look, triple threat matches are fine if you have like 1 or 2 over the course of the PLE week, and there are 2 nights, so why not have 1 on each night? But they've got to be for a title. You cannot have these matches, have several of them, for no stakes at the end of it. It doesn't make sense at all. I know there's talk about a Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns versus CM Punk in a triple threat match. But why? There is nothing at the end of it. You need to have a title or the chance of a title at the end of it, like they do with the tournament matches, for triple threat matches to work.
Yeah, it'd be good if that was like a number 1 contenders match. But just because they want to put them in the WrestleMania, it just doesn't work. The crowd's not going to get into it either. There's no story behind it. There's no real thought behind it. And it's just putting the big guys in a match to make it work. Drew McIntyre gets a nothing match, meaningless match as well. The guy has been carrying the company at the top level for a long time. He's one of the top superstars. It could be matched against like Andrade, Carmella Hayes, even LA Knight. They'll be professional, but it just means absolutely nothing. And you can see they're not going to put... Drew's not going to put his heart into the match if it absolutely means nothing.
Exactly. And what he was doing last year, the CM Punk feud, but also his escapades at WrestleMania was one of the highlights of the weekend. Tweeting during the match, bored at work, lol. He was fantastic last year. He deserves something special at WrestleMania. And here we go. This is something that we really don't want to see. Charlotte Flair squashing Tiffany Stratton. Now, we're not talking a Sheamus and Daniel Bryan kind of squash. I don't think that's ever going to happen again. Or a Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair kind of squash at SummerSlam a couple of years ago. What we are talking is more just the 2 to 3 to 4 minute mark kind of match that really doesn't showcase what Tiffany can do. We know Charlotte Flair is someone that is always booked strong, but she always has good matches in PLEs and especially at WrestleMania. But you always have this sneaking suspicion with a Charlotte Flair match that she could win this in a very short time and it would destroy Tiffany. If she beats Tiffany Stratton in a 15-minute banger, I think that will be the making of Tiffany Stratton. Even losing will be the making of her. If she loses in 2 or 3 minutes, it'd be disastrous.
Next, the women's mid-card belts aren't featured. They had a great tournament lead up to it. Both champions are well deserved. Good grand final matches. The US champion has been more featured than the IC, but they're getting nowhere. Like, it's just an afterthought at the moment. You can't go into new belts and then not have them appear, especially in the women's division. They're pumping this up amazingly at the moment. It's all wrestling is talked about on the internet and stuff, is the women's divisions around the world.
Yeah.
So they have to feature this. If they don't, it just doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. Lyra Valkyria, as we speak, has not defended her IC title since winning it on the second show of the year. In fact, her only other televised match, apart from the Royal Rumble, where she was the second person eliminated, I think, which is ridiculous, was a match against Bayley for the Elimination Chamber qualifying matches, and she lost it, of course, which I think is okay because Bayley needed to get in there, but that's her only match since winning the title.
She's got
ridiculous.
Dakota Kai next week.
That's correct. She's got Dakota Kai on Monday, which will be a great match. Those two have great chemistry, but it's not enough. And on that same topic, the women's matches are just treated as an afterthought. There is so many top-line male main eventers at the moment, and it sounds like there's compromises going left and right. There's probably several cards made up for the men's division, but then what happens to the women's division? They're just going to slot them in every now and then, probably put them on the second match or the third last match or something, ones that don't really matter too much, perhaps where the crowd's a bit bored or a bit tired and they're not ready to come back up again. Let's not do that. I would love to see them do what they actually said at the Royal Rumble, and they did say this, that the winner of the Royal Rumble will get a main event match.
Yes, good.
So actually do a main event match, not the first match of the night. That's not main event. I know sometimes I like to say it is.
Yeah, it's not.
It is not. Let's treat these women matches the way they should be treated, with as much gusto as the men's matches.
Yeah, they've done this before. They've just slotted 2 or 3 matches in before in WrestleManias, and you see the crowd switched off.
Yeah.
And it's not fair on them. You know, they're doing the best they can. This biggest moment for a lot of those wrestlers. Yeah. They need to give them some more thought in the matches.
Exactly. And of course, a couple of years ago, we saw Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley, who believed they were getting the main event. It then went to the Usos versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, which was fantastic, by the way, and was a genuine 5-star match. But so too was Charlotte and Rhea Ripley. That was an absolute banger and probably deserved the main event.
Next, we have Jey Uso wins after a bad performance. You know, he's on top of the world. The Yeet train has gone ballistic. It's going at full steam. The issue is he does have a tendency sometimes on the big matches to sometimes go in his shell. Yeah. And you just hope that Gunther can get him out of his shell during the match. Hopefully they can have a quick chat as they do sometimes. But I think, WWE cannot afford for this to happen.
I get the feeling with this kind of thing that there should be some way that perhaps communicated through the referee that, look, the performance hasn't been good enough at the ring.
Pick it up.
The crowd are dying because of what they are seeing. Yes. It needs to stay on Gunther. If the original plan is that Jey Uso wins his title, if he's not hitting with his kicks, if his spear sucks, which it can do, and it did at Saturday night's main event, then surely something can go out, look, we can't get this guy with the title. If he puts in one of his great showings like he did against Bron Breakker, that IC title match was magnificent. Absolutely. Get the Yeet train going over Gunther, but otherwise Gunther needs to hold on to the title.
Agree 100%. It's got to happen.
Okay, and now a big sticking point for me. The New Day aren't featured at all. Okay, so the heel turn from the New Day was one of the most amazing heel turns I've ever seen. It came out of nowhere. We thought they were going to do something, and turning on Big E was the last thing anyone thought could have happened. 100%. Yep. But since then, they haven't really done much. They were kind of scuppered by the Raw and Netflix debut, I think, where they only wanted to put these real highline matches, so they had their match moved off that, but then they didn't really do anything for a couple of weeks afterwards. Now they're starting to come into their own again after the heel turn was great. Now they're starting to figure out what they need to do. So at WrestleMania, these two absolute legends of the industry, don't get that wrong, they are legends of the industry, they need to be doing something. Even if it's something like there is a tag team championship match between 2, 3, 4 teams, whatever it may be, and they go out there and go, why the hell are we not in this match, and destroy someone and maybe even get themselves into the match somehow. Something like that. They need to be there and being absolute dickheads to someone or winning a title in a real cheap, cheating kind of way.
Yeah, I agree. It has to happen. If it doesn't, it just makes the whole storyline seem non-relevant and just taking too long to evolve into something meaningful. Next, we have Solo Sikoa going over Jacob Fatu. There's been reports this week that the match is going to go ahead. This could be the worst thing for WWE, because at the moment, Fatu is on another level to most people in the industry. The crowd's reaction, what he can do. Solo's had his time, and Solo is sort of falling back in the pecking order. But I just have a fear with the dynasty that the bloodline is small. So these things can happen. We've seen it before with a lot. Certain players behind the scene have a bit of a pull, and it happened. I just fear that they will destroy everything about Fatu if this happens.
Yeah, that's right. I think Fatu is going to win a championship at some point very, very soon after WrestleMania, within the few months after WrestleMania, and having Solo Sikoa get over him in a cheating kind of way, because that's the only way it's going to be, because there's talk about Solo being the face in this. I'm sorry, Jacob Fatu is the badass face in this. It doesn't matter what they think. Jacob Fatu is going to be the one who's going to be cheered like anything. In fact, he could get the loudest pops of the entire weekend if he wins. So Jacob Fatu losing to Solo Sikoa just to try and get Solo Sikoa back up to that level where he was for a little bit. No, thank you. We don't want it. Now, these could be WrestleMania disasters, and what could also be a disaster is if you don't click that subscribe button and you don't get any of this Aussie charm in your wrestling content. So please help us out on our way to memberships and then partnership of YouTube by clicking on that subscribe button. Like the video, and of course leave us a comment down below if you think there are any other booking disasters that could possibly happen at WrestleMania 41. And of course the most important thing from us is we hope that everyone out there has a wonderful day.